Welcome back, everyone. Well, right downtown Glens Falls, we really have one of the best historical museums, the Chapman Museum. And every once in a while, I call Tim, who's the executive director, and say, Tim, what's going on there? You ought to come on and talk about it. And of course, it's a holiday season, and every holiday season they do something special. So joining me today is the executive director of the Chapman Museum, Tim Weidner. Welcome back.
It's great to be here.
Great to have you. Boy, quite a year. We're winding it up. But I do know every holiday season, you kind of pick a theme and you run with it. And we can talk about themes from previous years and whatever, but let's start with the one you're doing this year.
Sure. It's a little unusual this year, but we've picked to do our decorating and sort of theme tour based on Scottish holiday traditions.
Oh, wow.
Notice I didn't say Christmas traditions.
Yes, right.
And the reason for that, we discovered very quickly, is that for about 400 years, Christmas was not really celebrated fully the way we think of it as being celebrated in England and in America. It was a working day up until the 1960s. It wasn't a national holiday.
What was the reason for that?
Well,
pagan or?
Well, that was part of it.
Yeah.
Scotland had at times gone different directions from England as far as their affiliation is concerned. They were very conservative Protestants.
That's right.
And so they looked with disfavor on customs that came from pagan past in that area. And in addition, Christmas is actually a religious celebration that was promoted by the Catholic Church. And the Presbyterians were definitely not Catholics. So a lot of that Christmas tradition that is so popular now was actually frowned upon for a good long time. In recent years, things have loosened up, and so things are different there now, certainly. But we thought it would be interesting to go back and look at some of the rather unique traditions that surround the Scottish holidays.
Got it. Give me a for instance. Now, as I recall, you'll do the rooms at the Chapman, and you'll kind of take each room and devote it to a specific theme.
We look to explore different aspects of the holiday traditions in the different rooms, and I think this year it's important to keep in mind that we've done it sort of on a small scale. Because you wouldn't have taken a house and just, thrown decorations everywhere and done it up like the Victorians might have. It's much more conservative. And also, many of the traditions are not actually tied to Christmas. New Year's was actually a bigger holiday than Christmas was. So you may not see all the Christmas decorations that you would expect to see and that we might have had in the past. It'll definitely be downscaled as far as the decorations are concerned. But we look to have little details in different rooms. For example, in the library room, there is a small little wicker basket laying on the hearth that has branches of, we call it here in the U.S., a mountain ash tree.
Oh, with the red berries.
They have these balls of red berries on them, most of which fall in colder climates like this. But if it's a little warmer, they'll still be hanging on the branches, as well as the leaves. And they would burn that as a sign of getting rid of like ill feelings for others, which is that's something they would do associated with New Year's. They have another tradition that's called First Foot, where the first person to enter your house after midnight would bring good luck to the family. And they would bring a basket of gifts. And one of them might be, for example, a lump of coal, which is symbolic of warmth, for the coming year. Or whiskey, too, might be in the basket.
Scottish and whiskey?
Yeah,
Tim,
believe it or not, yes.
So, I mean, is it, can we expect that maybe we'll see you wearing a kilt or anything like that wandering around the museum?
There are a couple kilts that are on display in the house, but we looked at them and determined it really wouldn't be a good idea for me to try to fit into them.
A mini kilt.
Yeah.
Now, I also want to talk about the event that's coming up and the current exhibit. Let's hit the current exhibit, because that's got to do with the local newspaper, the Chronicle.
Yes, this will be right up through the holiday season and continuing on until the beginning of April. And this is an exhibit of, I believe, last I counted, 80-some photographs that were taken at different times by Mark Frost, Sandy Hutchinson, other contributors to the Chronicle newspaper, which is a weekly newspaper based in Glens Falls, which has been in operation since 1980.
Right, right.
So some of the photographs go back to the early days of the paper. They're black and white photographs of
like the Civic Center, maybe.
Civic Center events,
right, sure.
you know, athletic contests, boxing matches, as well as other events from that time period, right up through the more recent past. And some of the stories, I think, which are really interested in reflect things that have happened in the community. For example, development of the Wood Theater.
Right.
The Chronicle was involved in that throughout the duration of going from basically having an empty storefront to having a theater that's now an important part of the community. So there are photographs of everything from, you know, when it started as an empty space to the events that were that happened to raise funds for it, but other events as well. I'm thinking of the Balloon Fest is one that's happened every year. Beautiful, you know, color photography associated with that.
Well, you know what? I want our viewers to know that the Chapman does really specialize in photography, and we got two other things I want to touch on, but we're going to have to touch on them quickly, Mark. Sorry, I never leave enough time for you, because these conversations could go into a lot more depth. But this Sunday from 12 to 4, the Chapman has a group of resident writers. And they come in and they collaborate with each other and critique each other's work. And this Sunday from 12 to 4, they're going to be giving some of this prose and some of this dialogue, they're bringing it to life.
Right.
And there'll be a lot of different skits, I guess you could call them, but there'll be a lot of different readings and a lot of different enactments from this prose that they're writing related to the Scottish traditions.
They took the themes that are associated with that and they created some vignettes that will be portrayed in different rooms in the house.
That's wonderful. And also, you probably heard about this group, but I want to remind you, it's the flutes, the Adirondack Flutes, right? It's like 10 to 12 flautists who will also be at the, that's an easy word to say, isn't it? That will be at the museum that day. So make a point this Sunday. You can go, you can see the current exhibit, which is the photos from the Chronicle. You can look at the different rooms and see the different aspects of the themes related to Scottish traditions for the holidays. You can listen to the Adirondack Flutes, and you can see some writers enacting a bunch of the different prose and things that they've written about the Scottish holidays.
It should be a really nice afternoon.
Yeah, without a doubt. You always do very interesting things there, Tim. You really do.
Thanks.
So it's great to see you. Looking forward. I want to mention one other thing, and I'm sorry to be rushing here, but online, they have a database. If you go to, what is it, chapmanmuseum.org?
Yes, go to our homepage.
Yeah, chapmanmuseum.org, and you go to the homepage. The Chapman has an amazing archive of photography. It could be Stoddard, it could be any number of different photographers throughout history, and you can actually source from their database specific photographs. And I didn't know that. So please go to chapmanmuseum.org and make a contribution. You know, having a museum like this in our town in Glens Falls is really to be cherished. It's very well run, and there's always an interesting and imaginative display of artifacts and photography, and with a pretty keen eye for creating these little vignettes that you seem to do. Tim, great to have you in. Happy holidays to you.
Well, same to you.
And we'll see you on the other side.
Okay, great.
Great. To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.